makes you laugh. But did you know Shaletta Brundage can also make you think and boost your business? Media personality, activist, and comedian Shaletta Brundage founded Shaletta Makes Me Laugh to celebrate and share the best of Black culture. It's a podcasting platform. You can download 10 weekly podcasts hosted by African-American subject experts at ShalettaMakesMeLaugh.com or wherever you find your favorite podcasts. ShalettaMakesMeLaugh.com is also a production house, creating broadcast quality commercial content. And Shaletta and her team of storytellers create powerful promotional campaigns to get businesses the brand awareness they're looking for. Some of Minnesota's top businesses trust Shaletta, and you can too. Get out the word about your events and products and get in front of communities of color with ShalettaMakesMeLaugh.com. She's got the power to help your business.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Financially Fit Podcast. I am your host, Creighton, and as always, I'm excited to be here with you all today. Happy New Year. It's been a very fun ride. I really appreciate y'all continuing to rock with me over the past couple of years, and I'm really excited for, where we're going here in 2026. Hopefully you learned a lot of things in 2025 to help you in your foundational build of your business, and hopefully those things are holding true and helping you continue to grow and scale said business. I've really enjoyed how this podcast has evolved over the years, starting out as something that was more personal finance focused to last year moving to more business focused and entrepreneurial focused. And, all of those things are at the core of who I am as a person and the things that have driven me to be or have the success that society, from a societal lens, looks like success, right? And I'm super, super happy of what we've achieved here. And like most things, all good things have to come to an end. And I think, we're reimagining what this can look like. And, with that being said, for the next 4 episodes, we're going to bring on a special guest, Michael Roberts, and tell you a little bit about Michael Roberts. He's been on here before, very early in the early days. He was a part of the podcast when we talked about real estate. Michael Roberts has been a good friend of mine for a long time. We went to high school together. He played football together. He helped coach as an O-line and offensive coach on the varsity football team that I coached at a local high school here in St. Paul. He's a real estate agent. He's a real estate investor. He's a crypto investor. I mean, he does so many things in this world, and I think he can bring a lot of great insights to our podcast. And after those 4 episodes, we're going to be moving and shifting the podcast to something a little different, where we get a little bit more vulnerable and we share more about our stories. I talk about how finance and, whether it's personal finance or business finance are core to who I am, but I haven't really truly let you all into who I am. And I think, bringing Mike Roberts onto this will allow us to do that. So without further ado, I want to welcome Michael Roberts to our episode.
Hey, how's it going?
Welcome to the show, man. How you doing?
Man, I'm doing great. Blessed, grace and gratitude, man. I woke up today, so it's a lot different than a lot of people out there can say. So I appreciate you bringing me on once again, and I'm excited for what's to come.
Yeah, man. I know when we were sitting backstage before we actually, we were gearing up for this podcast, you said something as I was, commented on your suit and saying, man, I should have wore a suit today too, right? You said something that was sort of like, I don't look like what I've been through. And, that really hit me and really, I think sets the stage for like where we want to go into this new year with this podcast, really in being vulnerable with our audience and really letting them into like who we are and like how we got to where we are, and even some of the things that we continue to still struggle with. So I want to kick, it off today and really just talk about, our origin and the pressures that we face. I think when I was coming up, I lived in a household where, my parents, a two-parent household. I'm very fortunate to have had that, but neither parent were home at the same time because they were working double shifts. So, when my mom was going in at the nursing home, she was looking at the nursing home and she was going in late nights. My dad was home, right? And then in the early mornings, my mom was home. My dad was going into the telephone company to do supply management, right? And we were living Section 8, so we were doing a lot of things where, we were living paycheck to paycheck. And that was really kind of my first, uh, I guess, semblance or understanding of like my relationship with money, but I didn't know it. I didn't know that like that wasn't the norm. Like it felt because it was my normal. I don't know if you had things like where you felt like, it was your normal and you found out later like, man, people live like this?
Yeah. So yeah, like my whole situation was a bit drastic. So, I grew up in Chicago. I'm a native to Chicago, South Side Hundreds, and my mom had me at a very young age, roughly 15, 16 years old. And, she was given up for adoption initially and brought back into the family before she had me. And she then was, we were out on the streets for a while there, bouncing around from house to house and trying to figure things out. And one day she just kind of said, I got to find better for me and my kids. It was me and my baby sister, who was about 2 years younger than me. And we she I remember it's like it was yesterday. We hopped in the car and I'm like, "Ma, where are we going?" Right? And she's like, "We're going to Minnesota." I said, "Where is that?" North. So I'm in this long car ride. I'm looking out the windows, the train stations down in Chicago where, it's long train station, you're on the highway watching this stuff go by. Then all of a sudden we getting out into the middle of nowhere. I'm seeing cornfields drive past. I'm like, where are we going? Like we're going in the middle of nowhere. Like it took a while before we start to see anything. I'm like, Ma, you're scaring me. And eventually we wound it up in St. Paul. And we actually stayed with one of her friends that were out here who kind of told her to come out this way because it was this state was more, more fit for women, and it had more funding and financial opportunities for women when it comes to, assistance. And so we ended up staying with that friend for, a few weeks until we were able to get into one of the shelters out here, which was right across from regionals. Literally that brick building that's directly across from
Yeah.
regionals. That's where we
Uh-huh.
would go. It's the hub for all shelter system opportunities. And we would go there during the day. I mean, not during the day, but at night when it was time for pickup, and then a different school bus would pick us up to take us to a different church every night. And we would then go into that church, lay on these cots in these huge, like it was in a huge warehouse room or wherever they would lay the cots out, no dividers, just a bunch of families and stuff out and about. And that was my norm. I would get on the school bus. We would come right back down there in the morning, and I would get on the school bus, go over to Hazel, right over on the east side of St. Paul. That was my middle school.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And, it was weird being picked up from there and going to the school, coming back, getting dropped off, people looking like, dude, you live downtown St. Paul? I'm like, yeah, something like that. And, that was my norm. You know what I mean? It was normal for me not to have a norm. And to see, I understood that it wasn't normal, right? Because I would watch things like Fresh Prince of Bel-Air or you know what I mean, and see how they were as a family. I was like, that's real? That's something that's out there? Mom and dad at the house so big. Like, what is this? House was bigger than some of the churches we were living in, So it gave me an understanding that there was something more out there. And, I knew that I wasn't living in any type of normalcy. But we eventually graduated from that program, from the not a program, but from the shelter. They actually got us into some housing program, which was an intermediary between Section 8 and shelter living. And we went into that program. It took us a year or so, graduated from that program to getting our first Section 8 housing voucher. And when we got that housing voucher, we were on the east side of St. Paul, had some rough housing. Like we were off of Payne and Sims, you know.
Oh man, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's real rough. The place we actually lived in was actually knocked down and condemned because it was leaning when we were living in it. But like at the same time, that was home. You know what I mean? And we were blessed to even have that at the moment. And when it comes to finances and money, like Kanye would say, black female addicted to retail. Anytime my mom got that check, she would take care of business, but that check was gone just as quick as it came. And she did what she could on little to nothing. I remember she used to work at the XL, and she literally brought home for the year probably what I make in one sale. Literally like 10 grand, bro.
Wow.
Like I kid you not. And she would make ends meet along with that in Section 8, subsidizing our housing. And she would do what she can. And I used to, they used to call me Tight Mike because my clothes was a little tight, and you know what I mean, because I was growing bigger than she could support, and there's a few other things. So like when it comes to finances, like I knew that we weren't there. I knew that we didn't have, a full, well-rounded household. And not to get too deep, but my father, last time I seen him, I was about probably 5, 6. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
we kind of, when she picked up and took us and left, because we weren't getting support from anywhere or anyone out there. And I actually I'm 34 now, and I just got reacquainted with him on my 31st birthday. So, and she came, called me. He was calling in from jail. And, it was a different situation. He's currently fighting that right now to get out on release because he was wrongfully accused of something that, literally he did not do. And the evidence was actually dragged out of the courts. So it literally, that's an ongoing battle right now. And I've been blessed to actually be reacquainted with him because I thought he was dead and gone. Like I thought that part of me, I would never be able to reach back in and, get that from me. And I was broken, and I didn't know I was broken until, I got reacquainted with him and was able to have those conversations. And I tell him I love him. I tell him I don't knock him for anything that I've been through, because the things that I was allowed to grow through allowed me to be who I am today. And,
Yeah.
it's a beautiful thing when you don't have that shelter from, your dad saying, don't do that, don't go there. And you had to learn those things the hard way. Like I've been through a lot of things that most young men probably wouldn't have been able to, have to go through because they had that father there to say, hey, do this, do that. I've had friends that had their fathers in place, and I'm like, bro, why aren't you listening to that man? Oh man, skip him. You don't know what you're talking about. Da, 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 da. I'm like, man, come on. I would kill to have my father right now. I would, you know what I mean? Like it was that serious to me. But at the same time, I have 3 sons now. And, when I used to think back to like, dang, what would it feel like to hug my dad, or, to have those moments with my dad and to feel that father son bonding. And I now understand God's blessing me because every time my sons hug me, I get that feeling. I'm like,
Yeah.
this is what it feels like to hug your dad. This is what, this is what that feeling you get to have that interaction and that growth. And now I'm here, consciously knowing that everything I do, they watch, they see, and they grow from. And when it comes to finances and stuff like that, I've been blessed to have the understanding to know how to maneuver and operate in these realms. And due to not having somebody there with a structure to, even good or bad, to like say, hey, I don't know about that, or that looks good. I should do more of that. Being able to understand that I can look out into the world and see what works and what doesn't, and kind of pull that in to make it my own, and then share that with my family so we can create generational wealth and build and grow from there. So when it comes to financials and understanding of finance, bro, I knew nothing. My mom didn't know anything about finances. So we were in survival mode. There was no, structure, or it was it wasn't even like a real check to check situation. Like we were in mad survival mode. I was starting up line. I started my first lawnmower company. You know what I mean? To kind of help when we were in that first intermediary before we got into Section 8 housing. We were living off on Grotto on the east side. I mean, that's not the east side, right? That's like
Yeah,
more
Frogtown. It's Frogtown.
frog. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's over there when you bumped into Mike's mom's car.
yeah, exactly. That
Yeah,
was around the
yeah.
same time. And I
Yep.
was like, hey, I didn't bump into that, bro. He found me into that car, and I was groveling because I was like, bro, we can't pay for none of that, bro. I'm so sorry. And he was like, no,
And
man, it's all good. It's all good. And to this day, that's why when he said that at your turn signal grand opening, he's like, yeah, man, you were groveling and this. I was like, yes, bro, because it was do or die. I knew I couldn't make no mistakes like that in our current finance. Like that would have set us back decades if I had
hey,
to pay for
free.
that. So
Hey, free. If you listening, man, I'm trying to get you a check, my brother. I'm trying to get you a check. It ain't too late.
hey, I can write that
Statute of
check today,
limitation
baby.
ain't up. Hey, no, but you
Oh,
you hit on a couple of really good things. I think talking about survival mode, and I think my day to day, like growing up, like yeah, it felt like survival, and I think the thing that I always had. There's a lot of confusion with in my growing up life was like my grandparents, they seemed like they weren't struggling. Like we had a cabin like up north, like on the in Crosby, Minnesota, on the lake that's called the Black Cabin Chain. Like a bunch of like historically over years, a bunch of African American people had cabins on this lake. So like we grew up having that. So like that was my escape from like reality on the weekends. Like sometimes I'd go up there with my grandpa, me and him and my dad would go up there. And I think that made me feel like we were better off than we actually were. I think fast forward like all those years later, like my grandpa passes away, like, we sell the cabin, etc. And like, you find out like when your grandpa passed away, like all the debt that he had and like all of the things that he took to the grave with him. Like he was just buying things on credit and saying, "Oh, well, I'll take care of it when I get to it," right? And
yep.
it's just like, but there were some key lessons that were learned in that like one, real estate is a pathway to build generational wealth. Like we were better off when we were able to sell that cabin. Like when my dad was able to sell that cabin and get whatever proceeds. Now I would wish that we still had it, knowing what I know now. But I I was not in the place at that time being a senior in high school to be able to advise my dad on what we should be doing with that property, right? Um, but now I know what I need to do for my kids, right? And they're going to be better off. So I think one of the things I want to talk about is like, and I remember a pivotal moment when this happened for me. I was in college, and like most college kids, you're around a bunch of different people that are from all different walks of life, right? And some of my friends, like, their parents were CEOs of said company or, executives of said company or own their own business and stuff. So I go to dinner with them, or like oftentimes we talk about like what, their childhood was like, and like they were having these conversations at the dinner table. Like my dinner table was having a conversation on like how much hamburger helper can I have tonight, right?
Yep.
So like I'd be interested to hear like from your perspective, like what were the conversations that were being had at the dinner table for you?
Yeah, so we never ate together like that, roughly, because it was usually me and my sister at home, alone because mom was out working, trying to make things happen. And when we did, I can literally, honest to God, tell you, I don't think we've ever eaten together as a collective family. And that's a major thing right
Mhm.
there to be able to bounce ideas, talk, and communicate. Because now me and my family eat every night, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Whenever we can, we get together and we sit down, talk about the things that are going on in our lives and the things that we want to grow towards, or what I mean, just having those natural conversations. Dinner time
Yeah.
is definitely sacred to me today,
Mhm.
and we didn't have that type of sit down structure and stuff. And I can relate to what you're saying. Like I went to Augustana University, and most of those kids were golden spoon, not even silver, bro, golden spoon. I had friends that were like, yeah, I got private jet, I can meet you out there and such anytime. Just let me know. Parents will gas it up and we'll go. I'm like, what? That's a thing? Like, y'all,
Right?
you know, and then I would see, and it hit me again too when, you go on the campus, and what they would do is the parents had the option. They would reach out to the parents and say, hey, you want to send your student a basket of this, that, and the third? We'll even custom it for you, or you can add this and that items and so on. And I would come into the dorms, and then they would sit it right outside your dorm. Like, they were this trusting too. Like, I'm like, man, my dorm is locked. My car is locked. Everything. I'm from Chicago. I know better. You know what I mean? And that's just how it was out there on that campus. Like, everything was open. Everybody's door was open. All, you know what I mean? They would sit our baskets and stuff out on campus at our dorms, and you would walk down the hall and see all these beautiful baskets that are just out laced and well placed and just extravagant. And you're like, what is this? I get to my door, ain't nothing there. And I was like, I'm not expecting anything, because I literally had to put myself through college. Everything was on me. And I even told my mom, I said, don't even think about it. Don't worry about it. I got this. I'm gonna take this risk, and
Mhm.
I'm gonna make this happen, because I've heard that education is the best way to elevate yourself. And I
Mhm.
want to invest in myself, and I probably could have did it somewhere a lot cheaper, but I,
Yeah, I hear you
not
there.
knowing better, you know what I mean. At the same time, I they got me with the wrestling program there, and they were top 3 in the nation. They were like, yeah, scouting me and brought me on campus. And I was like, I like the small class sizes, and everything just made sense. I was far enough away from home, but close enough to get back to home, right? And it just all fell in place for me. And I'm still grateful for, Augustana allowing me and accepting me. Like, it really opened up my eyes to what's really out there, because I was like, how are they able to do these things? And then that got me onto the thing that I hold close and dear to my heart today is cash flowing assets to cover expenses. You're retired. You don't work for your money. Assets work for you, and they appreciate over time,
Mm.
and they shelter you from, things that could possibly go on in the economy. And it's best to diversify those assets across many realms, so that if one shifts, and, you can pick up from here, right? And move forward. And I understood that, because I was like, these people aren't working, trading time for money, and then turn around buying these extravagant things like jets and planes and real estate and all this extra stuff. I'm like, how would they even do that and still support their family and
Yeah.
so on? It's like they have assets that are paying for these things, and then they're utilizing good debt to write off this stuff to keep more of their money, to be able to go do these things even better and faster. So it really opened up my eyes to what's truly out there, and what I could look forward to, by understanding and learning these things from seeing it. Like, I felt like I was privileged to see the other side, right? Because a lot of people don't get to understand, like, that there is that out there. Because I was that guy, like, I couldn't fathom it. I'm like, how would you go blow what people make in a year in one day at some resort or something like that, and not sweat a bullet? I'm like, man, I have to sell my drawers on my butt right now to go do any of that, to even just look at that. Like, let me stay in my lane. So it allowed me to know that there's more out there, and there's ways to get there. And that, if you learn to sacrifice, you know what I mean? Because that's a big key aspect. A lot of people want now. They don't know
Mm.
delayed gratification. And I've slaved and sacrificed for even the smallest things that I have today. And I'm continue to slave and sacrifice. I told my family, I said, I don't care about anything extravagant. I will ride around in a 2000, 2005 if I have to, until the death of it. And I'll keep that thing rolling. I understand a vehicle, it's a depreciating asset, but if I can build it back up, it's going to keep riding and rolling. As long as I don't have to pay for something. I look at it like this. I say, my slogan is triple everything, right? You literally don't buy it once until you can buy it 3 times. If you can't buy it 3 times, you're most likely going to pay for it 3 times. And that's the law of 72, Einstein's theory, right? Anything you divide by 72 of a rate of return, so if it's 1% or whatever, even with our banking institutions right now, savings gives you 0.01% in return in a brick and mortar, your normal brick and mortar, that will take you 7,200 years to double. So anything that you literally put, you know what I mean, divided by 72, it will tell you, based on that rate of return, it will tell you exactly how long it takes for your money to double. And the people that understand that will succeed and prosper from it, and the people who don't will pay it. You know what I mean? The only thing I say you would put out there that's working, like if you say, for instance, that's working against you, is like a mortgage, right? You're gonna pay
Yeah.
2 to 3 times that mortgage. It just is what it is. But you can bank on appreciation and other things that can help, you know what I mean, offset some of that. Or you can put down extra money, a little extra, even $100, 20, $50 a month extra on your mortgage will knock off a lot of that on the back end. So it's just understanding compound interest and growth. And those are some of the key things that literally, along with sacrificing, meaning cutting back on your lifestyle, cutting back on all types of little things that don't make sense in the moment. Like I have friends and family that don't get it like I get it, and still go out and party, go out to a restaurant where they're paying 60, 70 a plate. And I'm like, I don't even do that. I'll go to Subway. You know what I mean? If I'm going to do something like that's not me. I'm willing to die for this because I want to cut and kill generational curses that were put upon me. You know what I mean? It dies with me. And that's literally what I wake up and grind towards every day. And I tell my family, I am willing to die for this. So if you're not willing to die for this and change and grow with me, please step aside so I can show you how it's done. Because at the end of the day, that's all that matters. You know what I mean? Leaving something for generations to come, for not only my kids, but my kids' kids' kids. You know what I mean? So, and real estate is the best way to do that. The reason I became a real estate agent is because I get certain tax benefits, and you know what I mean, the appreciation. And it's only class that you can literally take out good debt and have somebody else pay it off for you. Because I like to
Mhm.
do the 1% for 100 people. I'll take a 1% of 100 people's, you know what I mean, activity to get my 100%. And that's just that's the only way to get it.
I love it, man. Man, a lot of knowledge is spit right there, man. I don't even know how to follow up on that. I might just have to mic drop on that, to be honest with you. But no, I really appreciate all that, and I think, yeah, I think when I had an interesting conversation with a good friend of mine from college, and he grew up in a space where you know his family had some land, but his parents were those people that broke the generational curse. Now, and you know, while me and him don't happen to share the same color and some of those things, I know why I bring that up is because in that conversation when we were talking about this was African American folks tend to be a generation behind our counterparts that don't look like us.
Yes,
And
sir.
I was telling him like the real is like, man, I'm in college with you because like I got to be the person to break that curse. Like I got to be the person that actually breaks the curse and is able to put my family in position and leave it better than I received it. Now, my parents definitely certainly you know, left me better than my setup better than they received their setup, right? So I think that they did their part, right? But now I got to do the extra to get us over that hump. And hopefully like my kids will continue to do some of those things and but also not have to bear the weight that I bear. Because like I heard it from you, like you wake up every single day and you think about like how do I get ahead?
Yeah.
How do I like break that generational curse where like it dies with me? That's a lot of weight. And I tend to think about that a lot, about that weight that I've carried throughout my life and career. Like, have I really built a career in life that like I would have wanted, or have I
Yep.
built a life that I felt my family needed? And that's like there's a little bit of a balance there. Like me and my wife often talk about this where it's like I don't want my kids to be spoiled brats. Like I don't want them to be that, right?
Amen.
But I do want them to be able to wake up and say, "Hey, Like, I might want to start this business and try it. Oh, that didn't work. That didn't work. We lost a bunch of money. Okay, I'm gonna go and do this. Like,
Yep.
I didn't have the ability to do that. I just started doing that in my 30s. But if I could have did that from day one, how much further would I have been in my knowledge game and like the ways that I could have built generational wealth? So like I want to give them what I call optionality. So I'd love to
Yep.
hear quickly. I know we're almost at time, but I'd love to hear quickly like your thoughts on like the weight and like how do you handle and navigate that?
It's very heavy, right? Because, like you were saying, there's very limited room for error, and that's the option I want to give my kids as well. Is the ability to wake up and say, I want to try this. I want to attempt that and not have to have that limited room of error. You know what I mean? Because it's risk
Mhm.
reward. And in order for me to take the high risk, right, to get that major reward, because the higher the risk, the higher the reward, I have to have, you know what I mean, the ability to have that room for error. And when it comes to that weight on my back that I constantly carry, that I'm going to carry to my grave, is there's no room for error. I can't make mistakes. Just like when I ran into your boy's car, like I was groveling because I'm like, holy crap. Like I said, this is going to set us back majorly. My mom can't pay for this. She barely paying for the Section 8 voucher. You know what I mean? So it's like the room for error and the mindset that you build around, I am limited, instead of thinking with an abundance mindset. Nowadays I think I am unlimited. I can do, what I mean, and this has not always been my thinking, right? Like I said before, I don't look like what I've been through. And I had to grow that mindset of, I am unlimited. Everything is in abundance. I just have to figure out how to solve a problem, right? And create things that allow me to take those major risks, you know what I mean, that allow me to get forward, you know what I mean, much better than I used to. And now that I'm in a better place financially, I can actually take bigger risks than I look back, like the old me would be looking at me like, bro, you crazy. What are you doing? You about to go do this, that, and the third. You're putting this on that, and man, he would literally just go jump off a bridge right now. But at the same time, it's like being able to take those risks to get that much further ahead is very valuable. And it's something that, you want to have your kids to have that ability and to have the know-how and to be able to do the things that they want to do and not trade time for money. Like everybody, like 95% of people have to, right? And that's a big dream of mine, is to be able to show my kids ways that they don't have to go, collect the W-2 and work the rat wheel. You know what I mean? Working for somebody else. I want to build businesses so that they can come in and take over and take these things much further than I could possibly dream of because of my limited, thought processes. And I understand that I'm limited because of where I've been from and what I've been through and where I came from. So it's like, being able to give them that opportunity is a dream in itself. And the weight that I carry every day, it strengthens muscles inside me that nobody else can see. It keeps that
Mm,
fire growing inside me that nobody else can see. I'm constantly funneling coal into the fire and flame. You know what I mean? Because of that weight that's on my back. And like you said, I thought the same thing. I said, I don't want my kids to be spoiled brats. I try to stick my foot out every chance and opportunity I get to trip them and make them fall. I want to see them fall, but mommy's always there. No, my baby. I'm like, look, they have to fail to succeed. If you don't fail and you don't scuff your knee up, you don't feel that emotional growth, you're never going to drive towards anything. You're going to always feel like something is going to be handed and given to you because of the structure that we're building for them. My kids don't understand that it's not normal to buy multiple houses a year. You know what I mean? They don't get that that's not a norm. They think that's the
mm,
normal. You know what I mean? To
mhm,
house other family and relatives and random people. They think that is normal. So I'm like, okay, I like that. I want you guys to understand that, one, that's not normal. We go out to little shelters and we show them feeding the homeless and stuff like that, and let them know that there is different levels to this. And we are blessed to be in the position that we're in due to the things that we do on a day to day. So, like I said, I want them to struggle. I want them to have those struggles because I understand what those struggles breed. And I've seen, even at my school, Augustana, those kids who literally had that spoon had no drive. They would cry. Like I seen kids cry because their parents weren't pulling up to drop off their allowance. I said, allowance? You getting $5,000 for allowance a month? And you like, bro, I'm over here shaking butt at the GNC, shaking butt for what they call that work study and all this extra stuff just to make sure I got some funds in my pocket for gas and whatever else I need. On top of the fact that I got schooling to pay for that I'm looking at paying for later on in life because I can't afford to pay it right now. I don't think I ever be able to afford to pay it because in my mindset I was in the moment. I'm like, I ain't never took out debt like that. I ain't never seen money like that. But y'all giving it to me to go to school. Okay, I'll take that. But at the same time, that's also weight that was on my shoulders, knowing I was going to have to pay back 6 figures, which I did that. You know what I mean? Man, it's scary. It's mad scary being a brother too, knowing that we're going to go out into this workforce and there's people that are not going to look like us. And I got passed up for things. I got, you know what I mean, let go for things. And it did make sense to me. I understood that I got to work for myself. I understood I got to build a business for myself because nobody's going to get rich working for somebody else. And that's just the honest to God truth. So, and the tax system, everything's set up for businesses and corporations. It's not set up for W-2 workers. It's not, that's a safety net for them to be able to get, you're getting a tax return, you're broke. That's the honest to God truth. And that weight, I wouldn't trade it for the world. I wouldn't want to sit back, you know what I mean, take my foot off the gas. Cause like they say, hard times make tough people. You know what I mean? Easy times make weak men. So I'm trying to trip my boys up. I want them to go through adversity. I want them to get hit in the mouth. I put them in sports to learn those avenues and to learn how to work together and to learn how to fail and fail forward and fail often. So
I love that. I love that, man. I love that, man. And I think that's it sounds like a good place for us maybe to wrap it up. I think I'm really excited about what's to come. I think there's a lot of we only scratched the surface today. Matter of fact, we probably didn't even scratch the surface, to be honest, on like where we're gonna go with this. But I really appreciate you, man. I look forward to continuing to build with you. Thank you so much. And for those that are listening, thank you for tuning in. We look forward to seeing you all in the next episode. And as I always say, it's not about how much money you make. The power is in how much money you keep. Thank you so much for tuning in. Andre Creighton, Mike, Rob, we look forward to seeing you all in the next episode. Take care.
Hey, it's your girl Shaletta. Are you over there running low on your insulin supply and worried how you're going to pay for it? Minnesota's Insulin Safety Net programs got you covered. If you have less than a 7-day supply of insulin, you can get a 30-day refill for just $35 at any Minnesota pharmacy. Go to mninsulin.org today, print out the application, complete the form, and just take it in to your pharmacy. Go to mninsulin.org.